Boy, Victoria, those were some really tasty goodies we got in our goodie bag.
Sure enough. Yes.
That was
Good. I'm glad.
very nice gift. Thank you so much for putting that together and going through the extra effort of hand delivering them. That was real special.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun. I think Angie enjoyed it too. I hope I went north and she went south, so it was fun. We felt like little elves.
Well, it's appreciated. That's very thoughtful and
Yeah,
and very
very much so.
says a lot about our counties too, and the specialties
Yes.
we offer. You know, it's
I didn't know if I was going to get mine or not because there were several people that was trying to take it with them.
I told him only give it to the person whose name is on the back.
Yeah, well, but I just had one person that was really looking after me down there. The rest of them was hoping I'd forget it because they checked everything in and out, and I appreciate it very much too, Robert. I'm glad you said that. Larry, I'm glad y'all said that. It was a great gesture.
Absolutely.
It was the best bag ever.
I agree.
I said the same thing.
Oh, good.
Well, I've only had two of them, and it was by far better than last year's, but last year's was pretty good.
Okay, Chairwoman James, I believe we have 14 now.
Can you see?
Oh, you're muted.
I'm sorry. My mom's trying, and I'm trying to tell her I can't talk right now.
But I'm counting 14. And I believe all of our speakers are on as well.
Yes.
We're live on YouTube. So I'm gonna start recording.
Is 14 enough though?
Yes, now it's enough.
Okay.
Since
what I was
we
worried.
updated that a while back.
Okay.
So yep, we're good to start with roll call, and then I'll put the flag up and everything.
Okay. All righty.
Can I ask a couple of questions before we get started? This is
Sure.
Gary. I talked to Eddie Settle, our chairman, today, and he's going to take my place in February. I told him traditionally that whoever was going off the board would come to the December meeting and they would get a gift, and then they would kind of turn the meeting over to the actual person that's going to be on the board. So I'm no longer officially, I don't think, a voting member of the board. I'm just here as a visitor. I just wanted to come to this last meeting and thank the staff for the wonderful bag of gifts we had. And but I don't think I can vote.
So do we still have enough?
Yeah, we do.
You've got,
Sorry,
okay.
I was counting one more
We're good.
time. We're good.
Okay.
Eddie will be super. Eddie will be a great member of the board. He'll start in February. He'll bring a lot to the table, and he's certainly be a great replacement for me. Is Todd McNeil here tonight?
I wouldn't miss it for the world, Gary.
Todd tried to get me to give my big gift bag to Eddie the other day, and I said, I'm not giving Eddie my gift bag this year. Sorry. And it was a good one.
Yes.
Poor old Eddie's probably starved to death.
Oh, he doesn't have anything. But my plaque was in it, Todd. And the plaque was well written. It felt very personal. Like the plaque was written for me. So I want to thank everybody for that as well. I'm at the beach right now at my daughter, so I'm not going to stay on too long, but I just want everybody to know how much that the 14 years I spent on this board has meant to me. It's been one of my favorite things to be involved with as a elected official. And I'm going to miss it for a while, and I'm going to have to scratch my head and figure out a way to get back, huh?
Gary, this is Robert. I would concur with you. I think Eddie will do a great job.
Yeah, it'd be super.
Well, we will miss you terribly, Gary. You'll have to come visit or keep us in the loop.
Yep, absolutely.
I promise I will be coming up to some of the meetings and visiting.
Okay.
I can assure you.
We'll
of that.
love it. We'd love for you to come.
Good.
Miss you already.
Yep, we do.
Hey, Gary.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I want to say it's been a pleasure just to getting to know you and to be with you at meetings and just interact with you. I really appreciate it. I really do. You've been like a mentor to me in some ways too. And
yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Thank you for that, Johnny, because I've got a lot of respect for you and what you do over there in your neck of the woods. And we've got a great region. We should be. I'll be proud to be in high country.
Absolutely.
And you guys just keep up the good work. And if there's anything I can do to help, Julie's got my number.
Gary, this is Chuck. I miss you already.
Yeah, Chuck, you're awesome, man. You're at the top of the totem pole. So, and
I don't know about that.
Robinson, you're on the line, aren't you, Mr. Robinson? Yeah.
Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
That's okay, but I just think the world of him. He's a great guy, and he's probably been on the board longer than anybody. I got a tremendous amount of respect for this guy.
Thank you.
Is first class. He's been a great board member, and I'm particularly proud to serve with you, Paul.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Nice serving with you all.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna shut up.
You're fine.
Before I start crying.
Oh, you'll get us all crying then. Okay,
just a phone call away.
Well, we appreciate that very much.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas to you.
Same
Happy
to you,
New
Gary.
Year.
And you, Gary.
Merry Christmas to you, Gary.
Okay, guys, let's see. I'm going to ask Mr. Robert if you'll lead us in a prayer right quick.
I'd be glad and honored to do that.
All righty, I appreciate it.
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you just as humbly as we know how, thanking you, God, for the blessings of life that you bestow upon us from day to day. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to be able to call upon your name and to ask that you bless us from day to day. And we ask now that you would bless us during this meeting. Bless each and every region that is represented here in the high country, all the leaders, all the families of the leaders. I wish that each and every one could be with us, but there's just room enough for all those that are members. And Lord, we just pray that you would bless our assembly. Help us to always let you lead us and guide us and direct us in all that we say, do, and think. And may we do it in honor of our citizenry, in honor of the high country, and in honor of your precious and holy name. And we ask this all in Christ Jesus' holy name. Amen.
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 Thank you. Okay, I'll do the roll call right quick. Dennis Aldridge. Jim Blevins. Rennie Brant.
Here.
Wes
Jim.
Brent. Okay.
Jim, you're mute.
Oh, is Jim here? Jim Blevins, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And Rennie, you're here.
Yes.
Brenniger,
Yes.
Rocky Buchanan.
Rocky's power is out, so I'm trying to get him connected on his phone, but I'm not sure if he'll be here.
Okay. Teresa Coletta. Larry Fontaine.
Here.
Vern Grindstaff. Tom Hartman.
Here.
And I'm here. Gunther Yokel, he's not here. Robert Johnson,
Here.
Mark Johnston, Brenda Lyerly. Is Brenda muted? Is Brenda muted?
You're muted.
Brenda, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay. Doug Matheson. Doug.
Here.
Okay. Todd.
I'm here.
Kelly Mullane. Bill Osborne.
Here.
Johnny Riddle.
Here.
Paul Robinson.
Here.
And Eddie Settle, we know is not here. Sandra Simmons. Andy Suits. Did I say it right or not?
Yeah, you got it, finally.
Okay, yay. Larry Turnbow. Charles Vines.
Here.
Joel Whitley. Eddie Yarber. All righty, guys. So we will call the meeting to order. We've already had the invocation. We kind of got that out of order. That was my fault. So I guess now we'll stand and do the pledge. Whoa. Well, all right, guys. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation, under God, indivisible,
Liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. And now I need to ask for consideration of the November 2020 minutes. And I'll need a motion and a second, and then we'll take a vote for that. So
moved, Madam Chair.
okay. Okay. That was Robert made the motion. Who seconded?
Paul.
Paul. Okay, honey. All righty. So we'll take a vote. Jim Blevins.
Aye.
Rennie.
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
And you said Rocky's power's out and you're trying to connect him, right?
Right. He's not on yet.
Okay. Larry Fontaine.
Aye.
Tom Hartman.
Aye.
Brenda.
Aye.
Doug.
Aye.
Todd.
Yes.
Bill Osborne.
Yes.
Johnny.
Yes.
Andy.
Yes.
Larry Turnbow. He's not here, is he? Charles Vines.
Here. Yes.
All right. So that was full approval. So that motion carries. Minutes are approved. And now we'll turn it over to Julie Page for financial matters.
Good evening, everybody. Okay, so we are still working on the audit. So the comparison you see at the top of the form is still the 2019 fiscal year. So for 2021, basically, we're still sitting at 16.71% fund balance for the total percentage of general fund expenditures. The unassigned fund balance is projected to be 13.79%. But until we complete the audit and verify that we've fallen below the 16%, then of course, that's when we would put a corrective action plan in place. So the comparison to the budget and actual, right now we are where we're under the revenues, 311, 866. And the majority of the reason that we're always behind in revenue is because we're always paying the expenses and we're like a month behind before we can do drawdowns with aging and even sometimes with our EDA funding. Our cash balances, our operating account is at $75,797. Our capital management trust account is 975,191. So our total cash account balance is 1,050,988. One of the things that we're continuing to work on, and we're progressing pretty significantly this month, is on our audit. So we should have our audit completed by that deadline of January 31st, 2021. We do plan to hopefully present that to the board in February 2021. And the other project that we're working on right now, of course, we'll have year-end activities coming up in January. But one of the things that we're trying to do is that this new payroll module that we're using, we're trying to set up all of our benefits information in this module as well. So we already have 401k, 457, our retirement. We've got our Blue Cross Blue Shield. So we're working on med cost, and we're working on the remaining other benefits that are fringe benefits that are offered by the COG, so that we can have all this information within our HR system and our payroll system. And we've got full documentation of how all of those programs work. And it also gives it accessibility for each of the employees to have the ability to go online and see everything related to their payroll, as well as to their benefit side of their choices. So that's one of the things that we're working on now. So if anybody has any questions, then I think we need to approve that, and then I can move to the budget amendment, or I can go over the budget amendment number 3 and then approve both, however you want me to do it.
Valerie, I'll make a recommendation that the advisory council made for approval of the financial statement.
Second.
Okay, so that was Chuck and Rennie on that one.
Yes.
And I'll do a quick vote right quick. Jim Blevins,
Aye.
Wes.
And we've got Chairwoman James Rocky's on now. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Okay, honey, thank you. So let's see. I got Jim, I got Wes, right?
Yes.
Okay, Rocky,
Yes.
Larry Fontaine,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Brenda,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Johnny,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Larry Turnbow.
He's not on.
Oh, okay. All right, and then Chuck made the motion. So with that one carries. So that motion is approved. And go ahead with your next one, Julie Page.
Okay, so budget amendment 3, as you guys see in front of you, we have additional funding coming in for Area Agency on Aging. So 14,512 of that is the falls prevention through UNC Asheville. That's local funding. And then the other 9,000 is a new grant that we entered into this year that's called the Dogwood Trust Grant. And that's spread across 3 of the providers at $3,000 each. And then under workforce development, it's $65,000 that is part of the Finish Line Grant. That was additional funding that we're getting in fiscal year 2021. So this budget amendment is 88,512. And that increases our total amended budget for the fiscal year 2021 to $7,819,880.
Madam Chair, this is Robert. I make a motion we approve.
I'll second. It's Johnny.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So now I'll call for a vote. Jim Blevins,
Yes.
Rennie,
Yes.
Wes,
Yes.
Rocky,
Yes.
Larry Fontaine,
Yes.
Tom Hartman,
Yes.
Brenda,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
and Chuck.
Yes.
Okay, that was approved, so that motion also carries. Thank you, guys. Does anybody have any questions for Julie Page?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, honey. We appreciate it. Okay, Julie Wiggins, I may need your help on introducing this next one because I can't remember your exact title, what title you gave him when you were talking about him. But we are to the legislative update with Chris Wall, and what did you call him? The legislative liaison or something?
Yeah, I called him.
Okay.
Chris, you are our legislative liaison.
Okay, because it says principal and EQV strategic. So if he's on, I guess he's up.
I am on, Madam Chair, and you can call me whatever you want to.
Well, thank you.
But
Glad
the
to have you.
legislative liaison is one of the nicer things I've ever been called, so I'll take it.
Okay.
Just don't call you late for dinner.
That's right. Well, if you could see me, I don't miss many meals. I can tell you that right now. It is great to be with you guys tonight, especially on it's a fairly significant night in the year. Not only do we have an astrological event that only happens every 800 years, we also have the House and Senate coming together and actually passing something which almost seems like it only happens 800 years, but the stars literally have aligned tonight in Washington, D.C. and in the sky. So
wow.
I do, if you haven't been outside to see that, it is pretty cool. It is, you can't miss it to see Saturn and Jupiter line up. But yeah, Julie had sent me a text earlier that said she had put in a request that Congress pass a COVID relief package and a spending bill today since you guys had your meeting. And that came to fruition. So good for Julie. I wish I had that ability, but that's the news of the day, right? Is literally while you guys are on this call, most likely, the House of Representatives is going to vote on an end of year spending package and a fourth COVID relief package. And, we've been talking about a fourth COVID relief package since May. And it's been a long time coming. I would have told you last week it probably wasn't going to happen, that the sun was setting on it. But when those two bodies are still in DC and the prospects of getting out to go home for Christmas, a lot of stuff becomes possible. And what you just saw is a summary of the provisions that are included in the COVID package. And you just have to remember that the end of year spending package is to keep the government from shutting down. That's their regular appropriations bill. But then in addition, they've got another COVID relief package, which looks a lot like CARES. If you remember the funding from, I think it passed, late April, early May. The one big provision that probably isn't, great for the folks on this call is there really isn't any state and local funding included in the bill. There are some funds that state and local governments can utilize, but direct payments to localities is not included in this like it was in CARES. And so what I'll do is I'll just take down, Julie, feel free to send that out to the board. I would say, as you read it, it gives a lot of credit to the Democrats, but that's because I got the summary from my Democrat friends in Congress earlier today, and they were just the first ones out with the summary. So they use it. It was written from a very unique perspective. But the highlights of it is it extends, it provides more funds, extends the payment protection program, which allows workforce to access funds, forgivable loans for keeping people on the payroll. It extends unemployment insurance and adds an additional $300 a week from the federal government. It has a few new programs related to businesses that were hit hardest by the pandemic. So think restaurants, bars, movie theaters, bowling alleys. If you were shuttered under the pandemic, there are some new programs that you will be able to There's also rental assistance and utility assistance for individuals that have struggled with paying their bills, and there's additional funds for that. There's some loan programs that have been put into place for people who need to borrow money during this, and because they may have spent their savings trying to get through this. There are SNAP provisions, so feeding programs are funded. Funds for farmers, especially livestock farmers who had to put animals down through this. I don't know if anybody on the phone knows or is in agriculture, but there's direct funds for that. Broadband, something that's always important to all of us on this call. There's additional broadband funds. And one of the things it also does is, if you remember when CARES was first passed, it said you had to have spent all of the money by December 31st, 2020, or you had to give the money back. And the state of North Carolina had spent the majority of its money, with the exception of broadband funds. And there was a Department of Treasury ruling that said the way the General Assembly had allocated those funds, it didn't constitute spending. So North Carolina was looking at having to give $30 million back in broadband funds. This bill extends the CARES deadline till December 31st of 2021. So in addition to more broadband funds coming, we don't have to give back the ones that we thought we were getting ready to. So that obviously is something that's important. There's a few other, and then obviously all the stuff related to healthcare, vaccine development, to our frontline workers, our hospitals, and childcare as well. So a lot of programs that we saw in CARES, a few new ones, but it's going to be a welcome relief for states and those struggling through this pandemic, especially as our cases continue to go in the state. And I will tell you that I was on the phone with the governor's office. Oh, maybe it was first of last week, or maybe the end of the 2 weeks ago. And they are watching, just so you know, they are watching hospitalizations and specifically ICU beds. And if we continue at the current trend that we are, and so far we have continued on that trend for these last 2 weeks, we've got about 3 to 4 more weeks before the governor may put us back into full lockdown. And it's not a phase 2.5, it's not a phase 2.0. It's a full lockdown, probably stricter than anything that we've seen, because what he will say is we can't allow our hospitals to get to the breaking point before he does something. So, let's hope that heading into the Christmas break, that we see some trail off of this. The good news is our hospitals are better equipped to deal with it. Individuals are not going to the hospital as much as we saw at the very beginning of the pandemic. We've learned a lot more, and the vaccine is starting to hit the countryside. But if we continue where we're going, I'm afraid we're headed back into a full lockdown. So let's hope that doesn't happen. What this means for the General Assembly, I don't think it's going to trigger any new sessions for the General Assembly. This money, so let me just finish my thought. So the House of Representatives is going to pass this. They anticipate sometime between 7:30 and 8:30. And as soon as they pass it, it will go over to the Senate. The Senate is prepared to take the bill up immediately, but they still have some procedural hurdles that they have to get through. So it may take an hour and a half by the time they receive the bill before they can vote on it, which, you're putting it, 11:30, and the president needs to sign it to prevent a government shutdown at midnight tonight. That if they get it at 12:05, 12:30, is probably going to be pretty good. But look for the House to pass it here in about an hour, the Senate passing it later this evening or later tonight, and the president signing it sometime around midnight. Then Congress will get out of Washington, D.C. But going back, does that trigger anything new for the General Assembly? Because if you remember, they had to come back in special session to deal with these additional funds from the federal government. I don't see that happening. The General Assembly is going to come in January 13th. They'll come in for some organizational days. They'll take a break. That break may get shortened now. So they come back in and then appropriate these dollars and make sure that they are in the hands of the individuals that need them. A lot of that is going to be predicated on how fast Treasury gets the money to the different departments within the federal government to make it available to states. So there's still going to be some lag time between what happens today and when money actually starts to get in people's pockets and in programs. But it's coming, right? That's the good news. They've already started discussing the fifth and next COVID package that I think Congress will most likely take up first quarter of next year, maybe second quarter, depending on how this goes and what the cases look like heading out, how widely the vaccine is available. But this isn't the last COVID assistance bill to come from Congress. I certainly don't anticipate it being the last COVID assistance bill to come from the state either. And just real quick on the state's budget standpoint, obviously this helps. None of these funds that Congress has provided are budget shortfall fillers, but it allows the General Assembly to use federal funds in some places that they didn't currently have it, including issues like education and transportation, which then allows them to take those funds and put them somewhere else. The state is projected to be around an $800 million budget shortfall, which is great, given where we were at the beginning of the pandemic, when we thought it was going to be anywhere from 6 to 8 or some of the numbers. But the good news is, even with an $800 million budget shortfall, because of the budget situation last year where we didn't pass a budget, the General Assembly is sitting on $4.5 billion still in the bank, and there's $2 billion in the rainy day fund. So the state of North Carolina, financially and fiscally, is positioned very well right now and to weather the storm. And again, hopefully when we get in the back half of 2021 and the vaccine is widely available, we're going to get back to some sort of normalcy, and we'll see those numbers start to tick back. But again, mostly positive news for the state, as long as we can get these case trends in hand and our hospitals don't get overrun. Last thing I'll say on the General Assembly, we've got a brand new General Assembly that's coming in January. We've got 18 new faces. We've got a lot of folks that were just elected last year. So it's going to be a big education piece. Once again, one of the things that we're going to be focused on at the COGS is ensuring that all of our elected officials understand what the COGS do, the importance that we play in our local communities and to our members, the importance we play in broadband, disaster preparedness, regionalization, regional planning. Those are the issues that we're going to be focused on headed into 2021. And Julie, I'm happy, or Madam Chair, I am happy to stop right there and talk about, any issue that I've hit on or anything that I haven't touched. Happy to answer any questions or go into further detail.
Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask Chris?
Chris, did I hear you right? Did you say that there was nothing in this for local governments this time?
That is correct. There are some programs. There's CDBG funds, a couple of other programs that will benefit state and or local governments, but there are no direct payments like the CARES Act included last time, where those funds went to the county and then the cities would petition the counties for funding assistance. That is not included this time. That was the deal that was cut between the Republicans and the Democrats. The Democrats wanted state and local. The Republicans wanted liability protection for workers from COVID. And that was the sticking point on each side. So they just agreed to jettison both of those. And that's what allowed them to get the deal. So if anybody wants to be up watching C-SPAN, I'll be up with you, right? If you call me, we'll text.
Hey, Chris, it's Gary Blevins.
Yes, sir.
Hey, great job, man. I just text Victoria and ask her if she could email us that overview of the proposed relief package that they're trying to pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
She
Feel
said
free
she thought she could.
Yeah.
So that looked like a good overview. I was interested in the PPP. They look like they changed the rules about that being taxable income. But, it was a pleasure. I'll just say this, Chris, it's been I think you came on board, what, in the last couple, 2.5 years, while I was chairman of the state association. And I think we made some great progress toward what you mentioned earlier about educating legislators and making sure they understand the role of the COGS in the overall picture as far as regionalization goes and administering programs. We've been here for decades. We've done a great job. I think we've got a good reputation. I think it's important that we continue to advocate for the COGS and for us to all work together and just, keep the momentum going. So,
Yeah, and Mr. You're my Mr. Chair, right? You were my first chairman, so there's always a special place in my heart for you, Gary. And
yeah, we had a good time, and I think we made some significant progress, and I'm proud of what we did. So thank you, Chris.
Well, I enjoyed working with you. Thank you.
Ditto.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to ask? Oh, well, we very much appreciate your comments and information. It's very, very helpful, and I'm sure it'll be something to look forward to in the next several months or so. But we appreciate you being with us tonight, Chris.
Well, thank you so much. I'm always happy to join anytime, and everyone have a Merry Christmas.
You do the same, sir. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is our own Keith Devereaux, Workforce Development Board updates.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. And we're going to start off with Keith's top 3 workforce updates, as you see before you, starting with the unemployment rates. These are the unemployment rates as of October 21st, 2020. As you always know, with the state information, it's always that month behind. So when I give you the unemployment rates, it's not for the current month that we're in, because the Department of Commerce and the LEADS group, the Labor Education and Development Division, they compile this. So this is the most current unemployment rates that the Department of Commerce has. As you will see, Allegheny County has a current unemployment rate of 5.5%. Previously, it was 6.2%. Ashe County has a current unemployment rate of 4.7%. Previously, their unemployment rate was 5.1%. Avery County has a current unemployment rate of 4.6%. Previously, they had an unemployment rate of 5.1%. Mitchell County has a current unemployment rate of 6.4%. Previously, their unemployment rate was 6.7%. Watauga County has an unemployment rate currently of 4.1%. Previously, their unemployment rate was 4.6%. Wilkes County has a current unemployment rate of 5.3%. Previously, their unemployment rate was 5.8%. Yancey County has a current unemployment rate of 5.3%, and previously their unemployment rate was 5.7%. As a region, the High Country region, our regional unemployment rate is 4.9%. Previously, it was 5.3%. Currently, the unemployment rate for the state of North Carolina is 6.1%. Previously, it was 6.9%. And for the United States of America, currently the unemployment rate is 6.6%, and previously it was 7.7%. My second top workforce update, I want to inform you guys that the North Carolina Commerce Secretary, Anthony Copeland, has informed Governor Roy Cooper that he will be leaving his administration and will be returning to the private sector. His resignation as Commerce Secretary for the state of North Carolina will be effective January. We will be getting a new Secretary of Commerce, so I will keep you guys posted on that, or when that happens. Haven't heard anything, haven't heard any names being floated, but we will be getting a new Secretary of Commerce. My third update is that Finance and Compliance Specialist Linda H. Green will be leaving full-time employment with the High Country Council of Governments and the High Country Workforce Development Board, effective December 31st. We wish her the best in her new job. We are grateful. She is going to work part-time and train the new person and that is hired, and will keep all of the WIOA and finances and federal and state reports current and in compliance. Julie Wiggins, myself, and especially Julie Page are extremely happy that she is going to continue on, so there will not be any disruptions in finances and services or in the reporting of the WIOA funds to the state and federal government. As you can see next, I have included for your review the labor market overview and regional information. And I have also included the unemployment and insurance claims for each of the counties for you to review. And that concludes my report on behalf of the High Country Workforce Development Board and the High Country Workforce Development Department. I wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Keith. Same to you.
Thank you, Keith. Same to you. Happy, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Does anybody have any questions for Keith? Gosh, I think everybody's ready to get on with this.
Thanks for all you do. Thanks for all you do, Keith.
Yes, thank
you guys. I couldn't do it without your help and support. You guys are awesome.
Okay. Next up, we have Phil True with the High Country Council of Governments resolution to apply. And we'll turn over to you, Phil.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Apologize for the short notice on the resolution. I know the policy is one reading 1 month and then consideration following month, but this was brought to us late in the game. Julie sent the attached resolution out a week or so ago to give everybody a chance to familiarize yourself with it, as well as my notes about the project. These resolutions, we've worked a couple of these projects before, acting where the COG acts as a sponsor to New River Conservancy or other nonprofits to do water quality projects for which they cannot apply directly. We worked $9,000 into the budget to cover the COG expenses of financial management, but the New River Conservancy will operate and oversee the implementation of the project. Prior to us submitting an application, this resolution's for, we will execute a memorandum of understanding with New River Conservancy for them to be responsible for the oversight of the project as it's spelled out on the resolution. So I won't go through all the points. You've seen my notes and seen the resolution. I think time is better spent me answering any questions you've got about the project.
Valerie, this is Chuck. Hearing no questions, I make a motion we approve the resolution.
It's Johnny, I'll second.
Okay, folks, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, I'll go ahead and ask for votes. Jim?
Jim, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I approve.
Okay. Rennie?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Rocky?
Yes.
Larry Fontaine?
Yes.
Tom Hartman?
Yes.
Robert Johnson?
Yes.
Brenda?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
and I think that gets anybody because Chuck, you made the motion and Johnny, you seconded, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't want to make had it right in my head. Okay, so that motion carries also, and that resolution is approved. And let's see. I'll talk to you shortly, Victoria, to let you know what we can do on that in the morning. Okay.
Sounds good. We'll get it signed and get it back to Phil.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you
right.
all. I've got a few more items to note, if I may.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So appreciate that action on the resolution. But I did want to talk about a few other things.
Go right ahead.
Had a very busy summer putting in grant applications, and since the end of October, we've gotten a lot of positive word back. CDBG Neighborhood Revitalization, it's a program that the state operates, the local governments can tap into to do housing repairs, very similar to the previous scattered site housing rehabilitation programs. There's about 10 million available each year. Counties can apply for up to $750,000 to do housing work. We've got active projects in Avery, Wilkes, and Mitchell counties. But November 23rd, Ashe County got notice that they were awarded $750,000 for that program. So like I said, they got notice in November and waiting on the contract to do that work currently. CDBG COVID money. Through the CARES Act, there was funding available to provide assistance to family, businesses, and public facilities to respond to COVID pandemic. You had to show a low moderate income benefit, as is most CDBG programs. This funding through Commerce was provided on a first come, first served basis with $900,000 as the maximum available or per application and no match. Earlier this month, we got notice of 3 of those awards in our region. Watauga County got full $900,000 to do subsistence payments to individual families for rent and mortgage and utility payments. They will also use part of the money for food distribution to low moderate income families and provide mental health services. Yancey County got a CDBG COVID grant for $450,000 for their farmers market facility, where they'll do drive-in COVID testing, food distribution, and also do some subsistence payments. Ashe County got $900,000 CDBG award to do utility relief for low moderate income families. Those awards were all announced early December, and we're waiting on contracts from the state. 205J program, that's a water quality planning program with funds just available to the councils of governments. We got 2 awards this round. We got a grant that we will pass through to West Jefferson for a stormwater management plan. And for Burnsville, we got a grant to map their stormwater infrastructure. Those were awarded in late October, and we're currently contracting with Department of Environmental Quality for both those projects. Lastly, the community-based grants initiative through Golden Leaf, pretty long process. They started talking about this back in the spring. Letters of intent for projects were due in October. 4 of our local governments got invited for full applications. Ashe County for their industrial park for $1 million. Ashe County for a livestock facility for $500,000. Spruce Pine got invited to apply for $775,000 for a water line project out in Grassy Creek. And Wilkes County got invited for $1.5 million application for a business incubator. So those applications will be helping local governments with those. They're due February 11th. So I know that was a lot of information, pretty rapid fire. I'm trying to be cognizant of the time, but I'm glad to answer any questions about those.
Okay, thank you very much, Phil. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Phil?
Good job, Phil.
Yep. Want to echo that. Good job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great job.
Thank you.
Very good, Phil. Very good. This is Rob.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, honey.
Christmas to you, Robert.
Okay. So next up will be Julie Wiggins for consideration of amendments to the High Country COG's Council of Governments bylaws and charter.
Great. Good evening, everybody. Wanted to, if it's okay, I'll start with the charter. So we earlier this month sent out a bunch of different documentation, the original charter, the proposed amendments, and then also the current bylaws and proposed amendments, as well as a draft resolution that could be taken to each individual local government to be considered specifically for the charter. So, these changes, some of which were pretty substantive in the charter and with the bylaws, they were really just more to make the language consistent with the terminology that we use currently. So I guess the reason I wanted to mention the charter again is just that the amendments are to the original 1974 document, and they take into consideration, 3 known amendments that have taken place over the years. I think 1977, 85, and then what was voted on in October. So since the proposed amendments have been sent out, Paul Robinson and I spoke, and he said that I could just kind of relay our conversation. Paul, if you want to add to this or correct anything that I incorrectly relayed, please do. But it was really informative in the sections where there were proposed changes to minority representation on the board, and specifically in the charter where there was some clarification as to how the process would take place, and learning that process was actually different than what was proposed. So the intent behind was to provide some clarification, and Paul's recommendation is to go back to the original language for a couple of different reasons. For one, is that as I mentioned, the recommended language is actually different than the process that we followed in the past. So that was a learning opportunity for me. And then secondly, if there are any changes made in regards to minority organizations representation on the board, that those changes are to be reviewed and approved by our federal funders. So he specifically mentioned Economic Development Administration. And I reached out to our EDA contact, and she said, yes, but I don't know who the contact is. I'll have to research that and get back to you. But additionally, it's likely that any of these changes would need to go through Health and Human Services and Department of Labor as well. So Paul's recommendation again, and Paul, please chime in, is to change the proposed amendments to those sections in each of the documents back to the original language. So what Victoria has pulled up here is the original 1974 charter, and she'll highlight the section, what it would go back to. This was discussed in the advisory committee, and the discussion was that it would be, amenable to go ahead and take action on both of these documents, with, I guess, the caveat of changing Region D to High Country so that we keep the verbiage consistent with the rest of the document and with each of the documents, and move forward in that direction. So Paul, advisory committee members, please chime in to add to or correct anything that I just explained.
Julia, I would say that it has worked from the beginning the way it was written. I see this with all of the amendments made to both documents and going back to the original language. I think doing otherwise, we're opening ourselves up to that proverbial can of worms, as they say, because there's my past experience with working executive execs for High Country, then Region D then, was that anything that they had to do with minority representation, how it came about, how they were elected or whatever, they had to get approval from Atlanta. And many times Dick Fender told me he couldn't answer this because he had to talk to Atlanta and so on and so on. So I think we're keeping ourselves out of trouble and a lot of work. And I think the way it's been working thus far is we're meeting the needs of minority representation on the executive board.
Any questions, comments, anything else that has stood out to anyone in these documents that we want to discuss this evening? So I guess my recommendation would be to consider the amendments to each of the documents with the exception of the changes that we just discussed. And then with the charter, those amendments would go out accompanied by a resolution for each of the local governments to consider. And the board would take action to approve those going to the individual local governments. And the bylaws can be considered by you all and amended by you all tonight. Do you all have any questions or any suggestions of how you all want to handle this process differently?
Julie, do you need a motion to that effect?
Yes, that each of the documents ideally would be considered separately since one, but I guess we could actually, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess we could take it up in one motion. We just want to make sure that it clarifies the action to be taken on each of the documents.
I guess it would be a motion to approve the amendments to the bylaws, except the part about the minority organization and leave that the same. And to forward the proposed amendment to the charter to the member governments for consideration.
Also with the.
You can do them together. I don't know why you couldn't do that.
Well, that sounds good. If that was in the form of a motion, I'll second his motion. If that was Doug.
Yeah.
Doug made. Or if he didn't, I'll make the motion. How about that?
Yeah, and I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Johnny. So, Johnny, for just for clarification, I just want to make sure that specifically with the charter that we are considering not changing the language around minority representation, but that we are going to change Region D to high country.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And I appreciate Paul's input on that also.
Is that your motion, Johnny?
Yes, that's my motion.
I'll second it. This is Robert.
Andy, did you already second?
Yeah.
I did, but Robert likes the motion in second, so let him go ahead.
No, I didn't hear it.
No,
I didn't hear it.
well,
I'm sorry.
there's a whole lot of stuff going on right there. But
Yeah.
it's fine. I'm sure that we're all in agreement.
Yep.
Yeah,
Go ahead and put Andy down as a second.
Okay, I'm gonna put Johnny and Andy. Is that right? Is
Correct.
that okay?
Okay.
There you go.
And so what do you think in a couple of months to get this through to all of the government entities that it needs to go through to approve?
The charter, more than likely, yes. So my plan, and if this sounds okay with y'all, is to email the original charter and the markup to the chair or the mayor and carry the clerk, and copy if the board member, if the board member is not the chair or the mayor, and the manager. And I'll do that the week of January 4th. That way, everybody's kind of back from the holidays. And that being said, I'm happy to attend board meetings to address these changes if it's helpful. And I'll reach out to the board members who weren't able to attend tonight to let them know the same thing.
Yeah. And I think it would just be a good idea for all of the representatives on our executive board, when you go back to your prospective boards, to let them know that this was all approved by the high country. And so that ought to kind of alleviate any problems that any of the other board members might have that don't know about high country as much. So, yeah, and they could reach out to you or if they needed to. So, thank you.
Okay. We had a motion and a second. And so now I guess I get to do the roll call for vote. Jim Blevins,
Yes.
Rennie Brantz,
Yes.
Wes Brinegar,
Yes.
Rocky Buchanan,
Yes.
Larry Fontaine,
Yes.
Tom Hartman,
Yes.
Robert Johnson,
Yes.
Brenda Lyerly,
Yes.
Doug Matheson,
Yes.
Todd McNeil,
Yes.
Bill Osborne,
Yes.
Paul Robinson,
Yes.
and Charles Vines.
Yes.
Okay, so that was all everyone's approval, so that motion carries. So you can start doing what you need to do with that come first of the year, Julie. And next up is Julie and her report from Advisory Committee and our Executive Director.
Great. So looking at the time, I will keep my comments really short. I did want to mention that the AAA, they weren't able to attend tonight, but I did want to relay it. They've gotten some nice press coverage recently with some of the programs that they have been developing, some of which is tied to, CARES and Family First funds, and some of which hasn't. One particular project is one to help long-term care residents combat social isolation with these, I can't remember the term now, but these kind of lifelike pets. And the impact has been really tremendous. So there was a news article on that. And then also been engaging with resource fairs kind of as they're able, just to make sure that people have the resources, particularly in times like this, that they need. So that was also featured in a news article. So just wanted to share that with you all. Strategic plan update. As I told the advisory committee, it has not fallen off my radar. It took a little bit of a back seat with the blur of the year that we've had. But an update on that is that I reached out to Darren Rhodes with Commerce who has extensive experience with writing strategic plans and putting them together and making them measurable and have timelines and responsible parties and making it really user friendly. And so we've been going back and forth. He's submitted a draft to me based on everything that was discussed last year at the end of the year, and our current plan and all of that. So more to come on that, but I just wanted to update you all on the process. And last thing I'll say is just how thankful I am for all of you. And it's been an interesting year to say the least. And I appreciate y'all bearing with the technology and the technology glitches and all of that. And I hope y'all have a wonderful Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
Yes,
Merry Christmas,
Julie.
Merry Christmas to your staff and everybody.
Yes. Okay, next up, board member comments.
I'd like to make a comment, madam.
Okay, honey.
This is Andy Suits from Wilkesboro. I'd just like to tell y'all how much I appreciate you taking me into the fold and not making too much fun of me about my ignorance of the board and what all we're supposed to be doing or what all you was doing. Maybe I was supposed to be doing, but I've enjoyed it. I've not enjoyed this pandemic business, but I enjoyed being with y'all and meeting so many people that was of the same mindset as me. And again, thank you and Merry Christmas to y'all.
Well, thank you. It's been nice to have you. And I'm thrilled that I got your name right tonight.
I am too. You can just call me Andy. They ain't but one Andy. So.
Well, you notice I did start doing that towards
I did. I see where you stopped.
I kind of did that with everybody tonight. I'm just doing first names.
That's okay with me.
That works.
There's a lot. I've been called a lot worse, so it's fine.
Haven't we all?
Does anybody else have any comments?
Well, I would like to thank Julie and staff, Victoria, for our gift bags. But you might have opened something up this year because you dropped them off at the county manager's office. So everybody got to see kind of what we get every year. And they're like, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, I had a little trouble with that.
Well, they can volunteer if they want a bag.
Yeah, I want to thank y'all very much for that and just wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year too.
Best bag ever.
Yeah. Yes. and Julie, this is Robert. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. God bless you. And I appreciate the job that you and Victoria do and the staff. So anyhow, have a blessed and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Love each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. Anybody else?
And I want to say thank you, Valerie, because this has been a tough year to be the chairperson. And you've done a great job. And thank you very much for handling all this stuff.
It is not what I thought it was going to be. That's for sure.
I know. Thank you.
Gosh.
So we will or we will not have a meeting in January because it falls on Martin Luther King.
Yeah, normally we don't normally in January. So
we normally don't have one.
February.
So.
Yeah, so we'll see y'all in February.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. But my lovely news that I got today, and I got some while we were meeting, we ended up closing my town hall today. Well, I got news yesterday, so we went ahead and made the decision to close our town hall for the rest. Well, we were only going to be open Tuesday, Wednesday, and then closed Thursday, Friday, and Monday for the holidays. But I had a couple of employees. Well, one, his daughter it's his stepdaughter, but they live in the same house and everything, was tested positive for COVID. And then a few days later, one of the employees in the tag office, her husband was sick and they didn't know if that's what it was or not, but we went ahead and sent her home to be safe. And then my town administrator just texted me during this meeting and said that he and his wife have both tested positive for COVID. So luckily I made the decision yesterday that I thought the best thing we could do would be to just close town hall for the rest, for the week. And so unfortunately, our tag office is closed and town hall's closed. And so I did that. But yeah, and I just pray that I've not been exposed. Every time I go in, I've been wearing a mask. And when I went in last Monday, I had to sign some papers for our police chief, and he's the one that we had to send home because his stepdaughter had COVID. He called me and he said, wear gloves, whatever. He said, because I've handled those papers. So I did. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed and praying that I've not really been exposed. So it's hitting bad, but
Luck.
so I've been tested once and it was negative. So I'm just praying I don't have to go through that route again. But I just pray that everybody stays safe and does have a very good Christmas and enjoys what time, if any, that they get to have with their families, and has a very happy new year. I'm of course looking forward to my Christmas with my little granddaughter, and some of you got to see her a little earlier. She was here. She actually waved at everybody and said hi, but she left before this meeting got started. But and just remember the true reason for the season, and hopefully this will all pass and things will get better, and maybe they'll, like everybody said, it'll get back to some kind of normalcy, because this has been really weird. It's just not good. But I love you guys, and you're just been great to work with, and it's been very strange, but I've enjoyed it, and we'll see what the year brings. But Merry
Thank you,
Christmas
Valerie.
here to all of you.
Thank you.
Robert
Okay.
Johnson.
Merry Christmas,
Yes,
everyone.
sir.
Please stay healthy.
Motion to adjourn.
I started to say, is there any other business or public comments? Victoria?
No
I say-
public comments.
We're good. Okay.
We're
So
good.
Robert said you want motion to adjourn.
I do. Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
I second Johnny Riddle.
Okay. All right. That sounds good, guys. Would you all
Thank you.
see
Thank you.
everybody?
Merry
take it out like-
Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
Everybody be
Christmas.
safe.
Merry Christmas from
Christmas.
Wilkesboro.
Man,
Merry Christmas.
I think everybody's gone. Bye, guys.